Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Worthy, Worth It, and Priceless. This episode is titled Be Still. Now, technically, or officially, this is the 300th episode, but we're not going to go through all the fanfare. We did that on the last podcast. Let's get into it. So, what is so important is that we do not move faster than God. What happens is, I know for me, I can only speak for myself. It's like if God gives me an idea at certain times and like I'll try it out, I'll put my whole heart into it. But usually, or in the past, like if something didn't go right, I'm off to the next thing. It's like, okay, so this idea didn't work out. So let me go back into my bag or my other talents and let me just start that. And what usually happens is another opportunity may come up with what God told me to do. Or I left the situation too prematurely. And I left it so early that God couldn't move the way that he really wanted to. And what often happens is that same idea that God gave me keeps coming up. And I'm like, it's like, it comes to a point that it starts to haunt you. And I'm like, dude, why does this idea just keep coming up or something like that? Like, I guess, or I thought that this wasn't what God wanted me to do, but it wasn't what God wanted me to do. It was me moving too quick. And as soon as things didn't go my way or the way that I had it in my mind, then I'm like, all right, I'm off to the next thing. It's as if I couldn't stay still. And what God is saying, go to where I told you to go. Stay there and wait for my instructions. But we live in a time where everything has to be quick, or we see the highlight reels of everyone else's life, and we feel like we are lost and we're left behind. And God is saying, you're right on time. He's pulling us back. And usually sometimes so he could propel us forward. Sometimes you don't even know. You could be that person that you are comparing yourself to. You could be their replacement. But he's grooming you to be the person that he has called you to be. There may be things in that person's heart that is not right. Think about in the Bible, David and Saul. You know what I mean? Like Saul's spirit was vexed and all those things. And he called out for David to come to his house, you know what I mean? To play an instrument for him. So God may be having you, because you are pure in heart, he's preparing you to take over or whatever. And sometimes that may not be the case, but you know what I mean. God is preparing you behind the scenes. But what happens is we want to propel ourselves. We want to go out there ahead of time before we have all our tools. It's like, oh, this is where God wants us to go. Okay, I'm going. And you don't even know what tools that you might need. You might need your attitude adjustment. You might need some humility. But you didn't get it because at the end of the day, it's like, oh, I'm just going out there. But you left your tool bag, and most importantly, you left God in the past. You ran ahead of God. And at the end of the day, now you're in the middle of nowhere, like, how do I get here? Or let me run to something else. And then oftentimes, and I know for myself, you're running into things or people or places to give you comfort, and all they're trying to do is rob and steal from you. And then you got to run back to God and start all over again. Now you have to get all the residue of that person or that place or that thing off of you now. What you could have did was just sat there and waited on God's instructions. It's not enough sometimes for God just to tell us where to go. Sometimes we still have to sit here at his feet and say, okay, and wait for the rest of the instructions. Don't feel like you are behind, because you're not. When you arrive, you'll be right on time. You'll have everything that you need. You'll see, okay, this is why God was holding me back. Oh, he had to take this off of me. Oh, okay, it's longer than a season that I have to be in this place. But he's doing it on purpose. Because when you get to where he's calling you to be, you'll be right where you're supposed to be. Nothing lacking, nothing. You'll be right on time. But do not move faster than God. Okay? So with that being said, be patient. Be still. And know that God has your best interest at hand. And I know where you are right now, it may be lonely, it may be empty, but I urge you not to go back to people or places or things that no longer serve you. Don't mess up or forfeit your destiny because of a season of loneliness. Wait on God, and everything will work out. Until next time, always know that you have worth, you have value, and it's all going to work out for your good.